Clement Apaak. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
This issue is becoming one too many.
I've given them instructions.
This issue is becoming one too many. 2 weeks or so ago, we reported on a similar incident in the Eastern region, inter-schools competition and a clash between students. And now we are hearing of this one from the Central region. As the people in charge of policy, what's the position on this matter?
Yeah, Sandra, let me say a good evening to you and a good evening to our listeners, particularly my constituents in Butsa South and all of Buluk. And to indicate that His Excellency the President and the Minister for Education and all who truly believe in the power of education to transform are worried about these acts of violence that we are witnessing in some of our schools. Safe to say that these occurrences didn't start today, but be as it may, we have been given the mandate to superintend over the education of this country, and the minister is very determined through the Ghana Education Service to ensure that acts of indiscipline, including hooliganism, acts of violence, acts of assault, and misconduct, are given the needed attention they deserve and culprits identified and punished appropriately. So yes, it is the case that we heard about what transpired in the Eastern region, I think barely 2 weeks ago, with regards to a rape case, the case of a student stabbing. Then we heard of what also happened in the West African secondary school here in Accra, with students mobilizing to attack teachers. And now the situation in the Central region involving 2 groups of students from 2 schools who went at each other during what is expected to have been a healthy sporting activity, where we expected the students to compete and show their capacity during the field and track events. But it turned out to be an all-out brawl where students were chasing each other with all kinds of offensive weapons, pelting each other, and indeed some students who were cornered and were severely assaulted. This is unacceptable, and the Ghana Education Service has concluded a meeting with the Regional Director of Education from the Central Region, the headmasters of the 2 schools involved, as well as the district directors. So some initial directives have been given as we await the full report, and as we expect the law enforcement agencies, particularly the Ghana Police Service, to also do the needful. So we are disappointed, we are unhappy, but we are determined to take the needed actions to ensure that there is no copycat syndrome with regard to these occurrences that I've just narrated.
All right, so do we need to do something specifically in relation to intercourse? So the director has said to us that the clash happened after, but is there a way we can deal with this so that we consider schools that are rivals in an area and not put them together in the same zone? Is that possible?
Well, I don't think that is the solution, but even as we await the results, what we ought to look at is how in our day we had inter-schools and colleges, we competed in field and track, we had quiz competitions, we had drama competitions, we had debating competitions, and some of us were beneficiaries of all of these extracurricular activities. And I don't remember any situation where so-called rival schools had to attack each other. Something is not right. And I think we need to go back into our own history, the history of secondary education, to identify where and how the current situation came to be attractive to the extent that students are willing to engage in these acts with such brevity without fear of any sanctions. And I think one of the immediate things that we are doing in the ministry is to give the GES, school heads, district directors, regional directors our full support, and indeed law enforcement our full support in holding perpetrators accountable. And if we have to put in place measures as has been announced by the regional director of education from the central region, putting a ban or suspending the ongoing interzonal sports competitions, we are prepared to support that because we cannot condone these acts. They do not augur well for the academic environment, and we cannot sit by and allow those that we expect to take over this nation as leaders to engage in these kinds of despicable conduct. It is clearly not acceptable, and we will do whatever it takes to bring some sanity to the educational space as far as secondary education is concerned. But let me be quick to add that it is precisely for some of these reasons that we decided as a government, and through the instrumentality of His Excellency the President, to reinstate the PTAs so that they can also have a role to play, because parents also have a role to play in the conduct or lack thereof of the awards when they are in school. And let the students be aware that if you are found culpable, if you participate in these kinds of acts of indiscipline, you don't only stand the chance of going to jail, but it could also spell the end of your formal education, because you could be expelled. And we will do that if it becomes necessary.
Do we need to again take any action against chaperones of these students or the school authorities themselves? Are they to blame in any way based on your understanding of how these things work, or this will just be as a result of hooliganism by students?
Well, as I said earlier, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service was in my office to brief me after the meeting with the regional director and the district directors and other stakeholders, even including the parents of some of the students who were victims in as far as this open brawl was concerned. And indeed, he indicated to me that the investigation is not only going to be confined to the students and what happened as was captured in the videos that have now gone viral, but there are certain protocols that are expected of the different schools and those who are mandated to supervise these students when they go out on these sorts of competitions. So we are waiting to see the report. And if it becomes clear, if there is any basis, if there is evidence to show that a PE teacher, a PE master, or a sports master failed to act according to what the regulations outlined, then they would also be held accountable for negligence of duty.
Thank you for speaking to us. And by the way, how is your boss doing since the accident?
Well, I can assure you and the good people of Ghana that the Honorable Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, is in high spirits. He is recovering very fast. Indeed, I had the opportunity to be part of a closed-door private meeting with him earlier today. We discussed a number of issues, even including the matter at hand. So it's just a matter of time before he resumes his official duties. I think he's waiting for the all clear from the doctors who have done well in attending to him and his other colleagues. So he's in very high spirits and cannot wait to resume his usual duties as Ghana's Minister for Education.
Very well, thank you. But I said that thank you, and that was my last question. But I just got some information from our Eastern Region correspondent I want to put to you for your comment before you go. So
yes, please proceed.
I referenced what happened in the Eastern Region 2 weeks or so ago. So he's saying that in the Eastern Region, the schools that were involved have been banned for 2 years, and there's a national athletic competition happening at Koforidua Secondary Technical. Now, he wants to know what happens to the talents that have been banned for 2 years from these schools. Then the next proposal is, would it be advisable to ban spectators and supporters at these events so that the schools would participate without necessarily they coming over? And I'm referring still to the Eastern Region one, so that they can take part without their perhaps rowdy supporters coming in there and possibly clashing again.
Well, we are looking at these occurrences on a case-by-case basis. And I am glad that a reference has been made to the action taken within the context of the Eastern Region, where, of course, as you know, a student was stabbed and a female student was also the victim of rape, amongst others. And the perpetrators are currently standing trial. Yes, it is the case that the two schools have been banned, and we support that ban. The reason why we support that is because of what we call collective responsibility. So if the institution and the students are not minded to conduct themselves properly, then they all deserve to be sanctioned and to feel the pinch of the misconduct of some of their own. And I think that is action that we support. With regards to banning spectators and supporters, I have not given that much thought, but we will continue to evaluate and assess. If it becomes necessary for that course of action to be taken, I believe we will do that. As I said earlier, whatever we need to do as a ministry, through law enforcement and through the Ghana Education Service, to ensure that these ugly developments do not reoccur, we are prepared to do so lawfully.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
You are welcome, Sander.
That's Dr. Clement Apaak. He's Deputy Minister of Education. He's also the Member of Parliament for Bulsa South in the Upper East Region. This is Eyewitness News.